You're being recorded.
The fuck's I get right
You're live.
Oh, we're live. Sorry. That's bad.
No one's watching it. You're okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we are good to go. There you go.
Hey, everybody out there, and well, I guess it's not really TV land, so all the things land because now it's, beyond the TV world. So yeah, we have an interesting topic today, investing in your investment business. So this is an entertaining one. Lots of people out there, a lot of this information will just be for anyone that's looking to kind of get into business. There'll be some nuggets for you to take away and turn around and probably utilize in your own company. It's so funny. Rochelle and I will quite commonly meet up with somebody and they'll be like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. Why are the things not working? And then we'll sit there and go, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you, but that old adage that it's always easier being the outside looking in. And it's true, right? Because it's easier to see people's blind spots. There's a reason they're called blind spots. For that exact reason, one of the biggest things we have that helps advance our business nonstop is our coach, Jen. I guess I could say her name. I don't think she'll get mad at us if we name drop, right? Oh, well, she can always give me crap later. But Jennifer Blake. Lots of you have heard us talk about that. And that's exactly what we hired her for, is that she's the one that gives us crap on how are you guys not seeing this over here? How are you not seeing this over here? You have an energy block here. You have this going on here. How can you make this better? So, that's a big one for us. And then what do we got here? I got a whole bunch of notes. So I'm just going to see what we got and go from there, folks, unless people ask questions.
Yeah, questions. Ask the question.
Yeah, so today's a day to ask anything about business. So if you have business questions, it's an amazing time to ask them. So investing back into your business in order to grow instead of just make money. Well, you need both, to be honest with you. You need to pick the right spots to put the money to allow you to grow, to make money. Does that make sense? It's a really calculated formula. So I think the biggest one that people get bogged down with or really hesitate on is when to bring in an assistant or when to hire some people to help take stuff off your shoulders. So a lot of people go from there are so many businesses that start as one-man shows, right? Like you're doing all the things. For us, it started as a two-man show or two-woman, however you want to be today. So anyways, and when we were looking at it, I know for a fact it was one of the things that if we were asked, what are some of your biggest struggles when you started this company? That would be our biggest one, was reaching out to somebody for bringing them on to be part of the team. I remember we would talk about it, and I mean, it took us a lot. We started with Rochelle working herself out of her job, right?
Yeah.
And then we had me, where it took, 3 years? 2 years after you, that I was backed out of my job, right? So that alone is a huge, huge feat. And then the next stage of bringing on people to surround yourself with to help things become more productive, move faster, and make more money is also daunting, right? Because you know why it's daunting? The learning curves. The learning curves are ginormous when you're going to bring on people or you're going to expand, because you don't know what you don't know. Rochelle says it all the time. So you have all the things where you're like, well, you have this vision of who you think it should be. And then all of a sudden you kind of get somebody and then you're like, this is not what I thought the person should be, right? So, again, that's a big one, right? And then it's like, I think one of the biggest things is, I don't know whose that was, sorry.
You're good.
Okay. One of the biggest things is, and I lost my train of thought. Sorry. yeah, one of the biggest, oh, I know what it was. I think the next biggest one that people don't do for their businesses is brand. You need to, as quickly as possible. A lot of people, I don't even have one here, but I have some in my office. I have the old school, remember our old school
Yeah,
business cards?
with
It
our
was,
name.
yeah, it was
and
like
phone
Vista
number.
Print Special. I think they were black,
Or like
and we had a
20 bucks.
saying on the back, and it was literally just our name. It didn't even have a company name. It was our phone number. And that was the start of us, right? And then it grew to, you know, like here, I mean, anyone who follows us has seen us utilize the girls in Christmas cards, in, you know, brochures and all the things, right? So, I mean, again, I think that's a big one. I'm not saying go get yourself a character and that's who you're going to be. You need to, if there's, you know what, take 50, 60, 100 business cards, set them out on a table, back up and look at them, even get someone else to set them out. And then look at the ones that your eye is drawn to first, right? There's a prime example of how to kind of pick a brand, okay? You want people to remember it, okay? That's why a lot of people will use a photograph of themselves on their business card, because then it's like, oh yes, I remember talking to this person. So that's not a bad one either, right? But it's huge. If you want to be in any business, and it doesn't matter if you're in the position where you're in an MLM, multi-level marketing, for those that don't know, nothing wrong with that kind of business. There's tons of people out there killing it with that kind of business. There's so many amazing products that you don't have to go to the store to get. And they have to get really good at branding themselves, because to some degree, because there's multiple people that are out there competing to sell the same product, right? So you really need to get really solid and strong at who you are and how you're presenting yourself to others in business. It's, you know, again, what's that term? Your net worth is your network is your net worth,
Yeah.
right? So that's huge. If you've got the bigger your network is, the more, just yes and no. I mean, if you just go up and you go to talk to somebody and you've talked to 400 people, Rochelle and I used to do this very well. We would go to conferences after conference after conference, right? And that was me. I'm like, hey, Melissa, blah, 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 right? But again, I could get away with going and quickly having a very minute conversation with somebody because I'm a giant redhead. So I branded on that. I would literally approach people and say, hey, I'm Melissa Thompson. I'm half of Epic Alliance. And, you know, I'm a giant redhead, blah, 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 you know, something, you know, I would just, so naturally I'm blessed that I would stick out. So literally I would hit, Rochelle used to joke about this, but I'd hit like 100 people in a room. They would get our business card. And then she was in the back end talking, bad verbiage, especially when I'm talking about the background. Anyway, in the background, she was turning around and she was sitting and having high level detailed conversations with people, explaining all of the little things, right?
It goes back to our personality types.
Oh,
too,
for
though,
sure
right?
it does.
Like, for me, I don't want to talk about fluff. I don't want to talk about how's the weather. I don't want to talk about whatever. I want to talk about I want to find my people and I want to talk to them, right? Ask the high level questions, be like, hey, what's your next step? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And so it's just literally attracting like my people. And that's kind of how we did it.
That's true. But it worked well for us because we both knew who we were when we were going into a room to present our product. I knew that it's not uncommon. People will remember me years later. Literally, they'll remember talking to me. And it's typically because of the way I look. And I'm not small. Anyone who meets me, I'm not small.
Well, we ran into people and they're like, I knew you from high school.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, literally. And I'm in my 40s, people, and people still remember me from high school, right? So again, know your strengths for when you can leave a mark in a room. And if that's a weak spot, you need to work on it. So there's multiple ways you can work on it. One, it could be the way you present yourself so that they'll remember you better. Again, Rochelle was talking about rapport. That's huge. If you're going to sit down with somebody and you're going to go the route she does, or she has those more in-depth conversations with people, great. Okay. That's a way of building rapport with the right people. But if you're going to kind of do you only got 3, 4, 5 minutes to talk to somebody, you have to get in there fast and figure that person out so that you can have that conversation where they're like, oh yeah, that was a great conversation, even though it was only a few minutes, right? So one of the things I think that is also problematic when people get into those situations is they want to do all the talking. No, you want them to, for the most part, talk. And then all you're going to do is ping on the things that they gravitate to, right? Because that's one, how you're going to gauge the conversation if it's just literally a moot point. I literally, both Rochelle and I now, it doesn't even take 15 seconds. We can tell if this conversation should proceed forward or not, because it's not going to go anywhere, right? And so that's another one. Also try and learn where your energies should go and shouldn't go. Okay. That's another way to help work a room for networking. But anyways, so more of the things for business to take away. Another one is marketing, advertising, brochures, merchandise, social media, budgeting for posts, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So again, our first year, people told us you couldn't do it this way all the time. We still hear that. How many times have we talked to marketing companies and they're like, you guys guerrilla marketed and made $1 million, like worked and found $1 million worth of investment funds with this? That was it. That was all we had when we did that, right? Again, this card was incredibly, oh, this is Rochelle's, that's fine. Incredibly versatile. Okay. So we went with the tent system, and we, the universe is so good to us sometimes. It's funny. We came across a person who just had a really unique graphic artist mindset. And Rochelle fell in love with this image of the two of us. For those that don't know the brand history here, this is a drawing we had done back in the day and on the Vegas Strip. Literally, that's
Fremont Street.
Yeah, Fremont Street, right. And so then
it's just an innocent character.
Yeah.
Like anybody who goes and gets a character drawn by somebody on Fremont Street, that's what it was.
Yep, literally. And so then we met Aurora. Aurea, sorry. And she was the one that came up with the tent card and the whole concept of just kind of splitting it. It's 1, it's 2. And then we had initially what we had in here has changed. We've probably gone through, I don't know, 4 or 5 different growth periods of what this should be. Again, this is more examples of branding and marketing, because you can see our fun to, I'm so backwards here. Our fun to flip has the girls in the recycling. And then the hassle-free landlord program there at the bottom. And so as we grew, before it used to be more vague little points saying, hey, are you looking to work with registered funds? Are you looking to work with, can you remember any of the other points? No, the old ones? Okay.
It was targeting like distressed owners. If
Yes.
you had underperforming invested registered funds. There was, have you ever thought about being a landlord but don't want to deal with tenants and toilets? It was just different taglines that we use in our marketing.
Mm-hmm. And we did that for a long time. But then we got to the point where people were recognizing our products, and we're like, well, why not grow up and have the products, right? So, and then we just took some of the key couple of like things from those products and made those taglines. So again, that's the way things evolve and adapt. So here's our Epic Alliance Inc. Electrical company. Oh, here, and this is kind of the older format that we have with the electrical company. You can see the points there.
I can't see it.
No, it's too blurry, eh?
Pull back.
Is it too? That's
It's
too small. So anyways, it just says, do you need a company you can trust? Do you want quality work done? Do you have a small electrical job that needs attention? Do you have questions about electrical and don't know who to talk to? Do you have a contractor who will not leave a message behind? Do you feel safe with the current electrical in your home? Are you a single parent, female or Aboriginal person, and want to be an electrician? So this is our one of our other companies. We're now at a place where we have actually, honestly, many now. And the cool thing is this is where we do our apprenticeship program and our contract work. So we used to contract to the public, but we have so much work in-house, we don't even need to do that anymore. It literally is just all in-house things. So, but you could hear from the phrasing, we listened to people that were looking for contractors or looking for electricians. And then we use some of those pain points on the back to draw them in, right? So again, this stuff doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive. I mean, here's fridge magnets. Oh my gosh, fridge magnets, amazing. You know what you should get? The Post-its from Jen. I think there's a box there. I think they may be downstairs, but I mean, this is just, again, you're giving those out. I've seen people, their business cards are these, like, you know, they just take and put the business card and glue it to the magnet, right? That's brilliant, right? Because there's a stronger chance somebody's going to use it on the fridge and see it. And, you know, that's a great one. Brochures and stuff. Oh my gosh, have they ever grown?
We've gone through so many different versions.
Yeah, here's a laugh. This is ironically, you know, this photo where it was taken? That's me doing a selfie at your sister's wedding.
Oh, that's funny.
So as you can see right there, that is literally our, like, this is our old brochure. You can see, look at, you know, like how hokey it is. Like, but it worked. It worked. Don't get lost in the perfection part. Just get something out there that people will look at. Okay. All right. Like, don't get, like, we've grown so much, right? This is original. This is where we are now, right? Like, it's a completely different design, right? And layout to the now having the banners. I mean, look at these. These are just adorable. I'm so tempted to get one for my coffee table at home. Like,
they're
really
adorable. Like baby banners, guys.
Right?
Baby
like, look at me.
Banners.
This is my head. This is the banner. This is my head, right? Like, there you go. You can tell it's not very big. It's so cute.
But the reason that we even ordered these was because we were traveling so much and going to different trade shows.
Yeah.
And we had those plastic ones that kept breaking.
Yeah.
Every time we went and put them on the plane, it would break. And so all of a sudden we would get this, and and they're freaking adorable. I don't know. I'm obsessed with anything mini. Like, literally everything that is tiny. I'm like, it's so cute. I'm like,
it's
look
true.
at this little thing. And I just want to put it in my pocket.
Yeah. So you want to show those?
Yep. So Bailey got us some Post-its. So these are notepad Post-its, sticky things. So these go over, sorry, drop that next. So these go over really well because they're useful, right? Like, honestly, a magnet, yeah, it's fun to throw at things, but this you get like right on. You can draw us little devil horns or like little angel butterfly wing, whatever you want to do.
We've done
mustaches. That's fun, right? But at the same time, it's useful.
Well, and if you break it out, it's 25 pages and all of them are the same. There you go. That's 25 business cards in one pile. And people write, and then they hand that to somebody and they go, hey, don't forget to pick up milk. And then they go to the grocery store, and then somebody at the grocery store sees. So, you know, those are really simplistic ways to, again, this is guerrilla marketing, but guerrilla marketing isn't dead 100%. As much as everybody wants to do everything on social media, I am not knocking social media. Why are we doing the Epic Hour? Because all we hear from everybody is, we want to see more of you guys. We want to see more of you guys. Got it. So here we are. Once a week, you get us for an hour, and we are here doing all the things, right? So yeah, Rochelle even had the pen. One of our pens, we've had, like, I don't know, I think we've had 4 or 5 different pens.
Yeah, we usually buy the ones that are on sale.
That's right. That's right, people. You know, that's what we do. We go in and talk to our people that do these things, and it's like, okay, which one's on sale? Because we need pens.
And these ones I actually really like.
They are
we're
great.
Getting, like,
we're out of
running
them.
low with them.
Where they're gone. Yeah.
So I don't give them away anymore. I hoard them.
Right.
My pet.
Right. So we talked a little bit about invest in your team. We can't emphasize that enough. I mean, we wouldn't be expanding to the places we're expanding to, headed the direction we're headed, if we didn't have the team behind us that we have, right? Again, I think this comes down to, you need to figure out in your business, truly, where do you want it to go? I'm going to be happy if it does $1 million in sales a year. I'm good. That's all I need, right? Or like Rochelle and I have said, literally anyone who's known us from the beginning, what's our saying?
To take over Saskatoon and then the world.
Right? And we're not kidding by that, right? We don't know how big E.P.I.C will be because our brain doesn't stop. Our brain.
We always say that between the two of us, we each have half of a brain, and together
It's a whole.
So
It's so
it's on
true.
point, it's on point.
Okay.
Ashley wants to have a pen.
We'll see if we can find any.
We'll see if we can find any.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, little side joke. Rochelle, like, she watches me like a hawk because I cannot lie, I'm a pen thief.
Yeah. So I'll literally come to Alyssa, I'll be like, I need your signature. She'll sign it, and I'm like, and my pen.
And I just do it like unconsciously. I'm like literally, I'm like walking away. I do it to everyone. I feel so bad. I'll just like consciously wake up and go, where'd the pen come from? I did it again. I stole someone's pen, and I don't even do it on purpose. It's
So,
crazy.
watch
Anyways,
yourself.
yeah, keep your pen safe. Anyway, so invest in your team. So there's multiple ways to invest in your team. But again, like I said, that team build out is definitely designed behind how big you want your company to go. If you're, like I said, if you're looking even as a one-man show, you should still bare minimum have, I would, to me, feel 3 people backing you. You need a bookkeeper. If honestly, I think that's the biggest one people try to do themselves and get lost in, is all the bookkeeping. If you get big enough, you need that assistant who's just going to help you. Sometimes it can be, they're your partner in crime. And, you know, like Rochelle and I, it worked in the beginning with the both of us so well because we kind of operated like that. We were almost each other at times, each other's assistants, right? It was like, well, what do you think of this? Can you go get this? I'll go get this, right? And so, because an assistant can be more than just, you know, somebody who's answering the phone, right? These days, you can get them trained up to help put stuff on social media, get them shopping for you, you know, any of these kind of things that allow you to not have to do it all yourself, right? And I think that's the other thing is business owners, people get lost in the third one, farming out those day-to-day tasks. Okay, your housework, okay? Honestly, that's a big one right there, okay? You can have people coming in and doing your cleaning for you. Because again, that only works though, all these things I'm recommending, if you're going to utilize the time on your business. If you go and hire a house cleaner and then you're not taking those extra dozens of hours that you're gaining in a month because you're not having to do all those things, to get on the phone, to be sending emails, to get literature out to people, setting up appointments, it's counterproductive. It's a waste of your money and time then. Okay, so that's what I guess I mean by the 3 team members / areas that you can very easily help elevate yourself so you can be doing more so that it can expand and become more.
The whole point of it is kind of back to our last week's or a couple weeks ago epic hour about X timing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can hire somebody out at $20 an hour and you are able to make $100 an hour, then that's a good ROI. That makes sense. But exactly what Alyssa's saying, if you're not going to use those hours that you're getting back and earn more money, then it probably doesn't make financial sense.
No, it won't. And then if you look at another good area is the education and coaching and investing in yourself. You, no matter what kind of business you're running, you are the biggest asset to that company or business as the owner or the like kind of the brand or that kind of or leadership. Right? If you're in any of those positions. So again, I go back to the person who's, you know, got the office in their basement and those kinds of things. If you are not filling your cup or your soul or a piece of you with education and coaching, you're going to stagnate. We realized very quickly, actually, it wasn't very quickly. It was after we had gotten our coach, right? It was after we got our coach, Jen. And we realized, or just before that, that's why we got Jen.
Yeah.
It was because we had gone a while and we were like, things are just like here and it's stagnated. It's like a pond of water that's just gross. And we were like, what the hell? We're like busy and we're doing all the things, but it's like, we're like spinning in mud.
Yes.
Like envision a monster truck tire just going in the mud. Like it's big, it's throwing things, but not going
It
anywhere.
wasn't gaining traction and
No.
it wasn't moving forward. It was stuck.
And then it dawned on us, well, the first couple of times it started happening, we were like, we haven't been to a growth conference. We haven't been to an educational conference. We haven't done the things that help ignite and basically fill our tanks, right? Our creativity goes way down when we haven't done that. Our motivation goes way down when we haven't done that. Our, you know, like it just adds up. And then we started realizing, what did we come to? About every 3 months, Rochelle and I need to partake in something that was going to help us boost, right? Then it got to the point where, well, we need it monthly. And so then we hired a coach, and that is where we're at right now. We have Jennifer Lake, and we turn around and coach with her monthly on a business level. And then we both talk to her each month about the other sides of our lives, because those have meshed together, right? And it's great because it works out well, because it allows us to cover off the business thing together. But for those of you that have met both Rochelle and I, you know, as much as we work incredibly well together, we are such different people. Like it's kind of funny, but it's a great kind of funny. And when I say different people, I'm talking about the way we live our lives, our goals, our aspirations, right? What is the glue to our foundation is our integrity, our morals, and our values. Okay. That's the important stuff. The fact that I like to go out and hunt and be in the middle of nowhere and all those things, whereas Rochelle doesn't like to be more than 5 minutes from a Walmart, those aren't relevant things. Those are just personality traits, right? That's not what makes you the cool being that you are, right? So again, we cannot emphasize enough. And then when we look at, oh yeah, we got some trinkets here from some, like this book right here. If you are trying to talk to people and you really want them to kind of look at real estate and have it in the most, at the time, my son was 10 and read this book and had all the questions. 10. So this is written so well, a 10-year-old can come and go, hey, wait a second. I have questions on these things, on how it works in real estate and money and all the things.
And now there's even a Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens too.
Right,
So
exactly.
they even dumbed it down.
Even more, right? And it's such a good story. I, as Rochelle would say, even I will say this is an easy read. Okay. And we all know that anyone who listens to me, why that's quite the feat. So anyways, and then, you know, like we have been to Grant Cardone's conferences. Oh my God, the one in February was, no, January that we went to. When were we at? February. Oh yeah, February 4th. That's what it was.
I can't remember yesterday.
Yeah, no, February 4th we went. That's the one that was 3 days in Vegas. And it was so good. I mean, to be in that Coliseum, when you place yourself, and this is what we do miss right now with everything going on, but to be placed in that group setting, and almost everyone in that building they're all there on different levels of their life, but they're there to expand. They're there to open themselves up and be open to more possibilities, to not coloring within the lines, to all the things. And when we got to listen to John Travolta, Kevin Hart, you know who was the one that I was so impressed with? Was the boxer, Fairweather. Floyd
Mayweather.
Oh, there you go. So there is my dyslexia coming out to beat the Dickens right there. But no, it was cool.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
that
him.
what it is?
Yeah.
It's not like Merriweather.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's
just checking.
It's good. I'm glad. See, this is why 50-50 right here, brain half. But no, you know what though? That was so cool. Do you know that guy owns 9 skyscrapers?
Hi, Rises.
9 of them. You're like, what the heck? I thought this was just a guy that got hit in the head and made some money. Yeah, he did initially, and then he put it into real estate, and he put it into business.
Real
Right?
estate. Can you imagine?
Oh, right.
Real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
Shocker, right?
And this is another mistake that business owners make. As soon as they start making money, You know what they do? They go buy a boat. They go buy a sports car. They go buy a fancy house. Not saying don't get those things, but your business will grow and expand faster if you don't make that the very first thing you're gonna do.
Yeah, don't bleed your company dry.
Dry, yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is make sure that you have a company that can self-sustain itself, obviously, but before you pull money from it. Because I've seen this happen where, and why do you think 90% of all businesses fail? It's because they're not managed properly. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times people will go in, they will start making money, then they start pulling money, then they start making more money, so they pull even more money, and then all of a sudden there's an economic slowdown, or I don't know, a pandemic,
Yeah.
or whatever might have happened. But because they didn't leave a good 3 to 6 month nest egg, they didn't have the abilities to be able to sustain or override those tough times, right? And so again, Alyssa and I, we take very little from the company in perspective, because we put it all back in for marketing, building the team. Let's go and hire those other people, because that's going to make more sense, so that when we build all of this, at the end of the day, it's going to be more sustainable, so that we are able to take more later, because it will be a bigger chunk of a bigger pie.
Exactly. And again, it just for us, it just makes sense. But we watch people all the time do it over and over. The other thing is, if they're not spending on themselves, they're also not putting it back into the business to keep it evolving and growing. Because as much as people think that everything will stay the same, it won't. It will not. Your clients are going to change. Their needs are going to change. Your equipment will age if you have equipment. You know, there's all of these things that are part of that. And if you think it's all just going to do this forever, you are setting yourself up for failure.
And it's interesting too, because I remember we went to one, it was a personal development seminar, and the gentleman had owned multiple businesses, and he had mentors that he worked with. And again, you know, you want to level up and you want to keep growing, and you want to make sure that you have good people to follow. Again, whether it's coaches or whether it's people you look up to, whatever that looks like for you. But at the end of the day, he had a really high quality problem, and the 1 year it was that he made too much money.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the reason a lot of people, and the reason like a lot of the wealthy people run businesses, is because of the tax write-offs. And if you put money into your business, then you get to use that as a deduction, right? Again, talk to your accountants, all that kind of stuff for full disclosure. But at the end of the day, that 1 year he made too much money, so he ended up actually buying a plane. And he talked about this story of how he bought a plane and how it worked off, that because he bought this plane, he didn't have to end up like paying any taxes because of it, right? And so it's just wild, because as a personal, like just when you're running a personal taxes, where would that be like a thought? Oh, hey, you know what? I made too much money this year. I should definitely go buy a plane, because that's going to help my financial position. And it's crazy.
And it's funny how many people get bitter over this. And I'm like, don't get bitter. It's not just for the elite and rich. Even you as a business owner of an MLM, there are write-offs for you. All of a sudden, if you have a home office and you are running a business out of it, your cell phone is a write-off. Your vehicle is a write-off. Your computer is a write-off. You too can take advantage of these write-offs.
Yeah.
Instead of getting a stick put up your butt because of your attitude.
Totally. And, you know, I always recommend for people to get a side hustle if you're working a really high income job, because it's a great way to get write-offs that you can actually use against your T4 income, right? And so we have some employees on staff who prefer to be contracted to us because they do that, which we fully support. Yep. And, you know, we don't care if they're T4 employees. If that's what makes the best sense for you financially, then by all means, we want to support you in that, right? Yeah. And again, they can maybe do some extra contract work on the side as well. Good for them.
It's true. And then we have your, what else we got to cover here? Oh, business improvement. Okay. So that is a growth thing. As long as your business isn't stagnant, you're always going to have to invest in your infrastructure, whether that's an upgrade if you're again in a home office, or whether you have 500 employees. your computer is a prime example. That computer you start with will not be there 10 years from now, right? You're always consistently needing to change and evolve your systems and your infrastructure. That is never going to change. Yeah. So definitely want to look at, actually, there's a good one. Sorry, guys. Too dry. Yeah. The other thing to think about is equipment and even office equipment, those things. Also, no one says you have to go buy brand new schwanky. Okay. A prime example, every vehicle we have here in our fleet is used. Every one of them is a used vehicle. We didn't go, oh, hey, let's go lease 5 2020 or 5 2017 trucks. No. I went shopping and I bought used half tons. It is not hard. Everybody should have a good mechanic they know. Everybody, unless you don't own a vehicle, but typically most people that own a vehicle know a mechanic. Take them there. Get them inspected, get them checked over, get them overhauled. Get the person you're buying it from to meet you at your mechanic shop. How about that? When you're going to go buy a vehicle, have the mechanic look it over while you're there. Obviously, tell this person this is what you want to do, right? You're a serious buyer, right? Or bring someone with you who's mechanically inclined, right? So those are just examples of how you can do certain things that'll help you, right? Do what you need to keep moving forward, but not have to go spend the large amounts of money. Now, if you're a company with 500 employees, it changes. That stuff changes as you grow, as you scale, it changes. The parameters change. It might make more sense at that point to be leasing a fleet of vehicles because then all those payments are complete write-offs, the entire thing, instead of just a depreciated asset that the company owns, right? So again, that'll change depending on how your business is growing and where it's at, right? So the other areas of infrastructure and office and things like that, we're in that right now. Software. We are spending large amounts of money on software because we have reached a point where we can no longer do everything by paper. We have to get to where more lines of communication are digital between our groups at work here. It's just where we're at. And that we kind of saw it coming down the pipeline, and now we're here. It's got to happen, and it is happening. And so, again, that's a growth thing, right? Some people will have a landline phone for their office. Some won't. Some will just do cell phones, right? You have to kind of figure out what's going to allow your communication to flow and what's going to make your space functional. There you go. Functional. And it's true because I think that's one of the biggest things. Somebody will get an office space, and then the first thing they do is they got to have, and again, we're not knocking people that, that's their style or that's who they are, their brand, and they need the glass windows and they need all the fancy furniture. Maybe that's what your brand is, right? Maybe you need those things. But again, if you absolutely don't, right? You can, like Rochelle has done most of the decorating in her office. And honestly, where did you buy most of the pictures that are here in our office?
Kijiji, Valley Village, the buy and sells.
And it's amazing how many people walk in and go, oh my gosh, I love that. That's a great saying. Or I love the colors in that. There you go.
You can, yeah. And again, we're not fancy though,
No.
And it's interesting because sometimes we show up and we go to a potential investors meeting and, the odd time doesn't really happen because we got a lot of referrals and people already know who our people are and whatnot. But in the beginning, people would be like, oh, well, you're not, wearing fancy clothes or driving a fancy vehicle. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me, right? Like, I just don't like fancy things, never will be me, whatever. But it's funny because if people were wanting to judge me on that, I'm like, dude, you're not my people anyway, right? Because again, we want to work with people who are really smart with their money. I'm okay with people having nice things. No big deal. I'm not judging that. But at the end of the day, I want to show people how to be smarter with their money and then use their extra money to buy those fancy things
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do, right? So at the end of the day, we love being the underdogs. Like, you want to go in and judge me for my appearance or what you think your perception of me should be or whatnot, that's great. But honestly, most people we talk to are always like, wow, you guys are a breath of fresh air, right? You're just ordinary people doing ordinary things. I mean, like we've talked about, we've ran out of space right now at our current office. We're working 3 to an office right now. It's intense. It's crazy. But you know what? Do we stop and say, oh, no, we can't keep growing. This is not going to fit. No, we're pivoting and adapting, which we always talk about.
Right. And that I think is another big model. You have to, as a business owner, you got to pivot and adapt. Again, the whole, hey, I've got it now. That's not a thing. That'll never be a thing. And it doesn't matter, again, if you're a one-man show or you're an 800-person show. You have to keep pivoting and adapting all the way to when you have 800 employees, you're dealing with regulations, you're dealing with safety. That stuff changes on the monthly, right? So all of that trickles down and it affects everything, right? And as a one-man show, I mean, you're in a great position these days now. The other way you can work with making changes and implementing systems is the virtual stuff, right? Virtual assistants, virtual, what is that? Fiverr, Bailey? Do you know Fiverr? Is that it, Michelle? Fiverr? Like,
Yeah.
You can like actually contract people to do projects for you, right? Like, that's amazing that you can go and like, hey, I need somebody to help me build a brand. I have $100 budget. What can I get? You know, I think that's incredible, right? So those are things you do not want to take for granted as a business owner. You want to really implement that. I think the other thing we can circle back and talk about as far as business and dealings and stuff is find mentors. What do I mean by that? Find other business owners that you admire and talk to them. Ask them questions. Ask them what their days are like. Ask them how they, if you're struggling with something, that's the question to ask them. Hey, I get all of these emails and I'm just not sure how to turn around and respond to so many emails. Oh, well, I have this product called MailChimp and it works great because it'll send out mass email, yada, 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 yada. Great, right? Or I have all these scripts that I've written up so that it takes me, instead of writing each one, I can get where they're coming from, adapt it in a minute instead of taking, half an hour, and send it off, right?
And another thing too is find your people or find people that are in a similar situation as you and start a mastermind. Not everything has to cost money. If you can find people who are your people who are in a similar boat and you guys get together once a month or once every week, whatever makes sense for you guys, you can toss a lot of ideas off of like-minded people where, again, finding somebody who can pick out your blind spots. So maybe they've been through it before, or maybe something that they're going through is something you could help them with some advice, right? So just, again, always make sure you're leveling up, whether that be asking for help or wanting to encourage other people and, win-win situations, right?
You just ask at the end.
Oh, okay.
for suggestions.
Okay.
And then didn't we say this was going to be Friday? I thought.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Thursday.
sorry, it's here.
It's
Oh,
on this one.
Okay, I just want to double check.
Yeah, I guess we could tell them when the next one is.
Next
We're
epic
getting-
hour. And do we know the topic?
Yeah, this is just, So the next epic hour is Friday, September 4th.
I'm putting it in my calendar because I didn't put this one in my calendar, guys. I almost forgot about you.
Yeah. Oh, we could talk about calendars in a second here. So 12 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, and 1 p.m. if you're in Sasky. We love Sasky. That's Friday, September 4th. And the topic will be staging and furnished rentals. So Rochelle is going to be incredibly passionate about this one because I'm going to stand there, or I should say sit there, with this look on my face. Got it. Yep. It's a color.
But you know what's so exciting though? This is why I'm so excited because it's going to be in one of our newly launched Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So we have 4 houses under renovation right now. It's going to be 8 suites at the end of it. So I don't know if we're going to show them both of them or not. We'll see.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's what I love to do. It's a lot of work to get them set up because when we buy a house, there's always certain items we need to go in and do and blah, 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 which we'll talk about. And we'll talk about why we did it, where, you know, all those things. But we'll save that for next week.
It's true. It's all the things that I just have nothing to do with.
Well, to be fair, you found 2 of the houses.
That I can do. I can shop for the houses, but as far as the actual get in there and have an idea, she laughs at the things I like to put in the house. Let's see.
Some days, yes. But I am doing, so we're doing some, we haven't done them yet. We're going to be doing some furnished student rentals. And I thought it would be really fun to do like different themes throughout these different bedrooms, right? So I have one that's I'm gonna like dedicate to Alyssa. She's gonna like it.
Oh,
It's her jam.
oh, I'm interested now.
Yep.
So this is the other thing that Rochelle and I are getting so much better at. This is my calendar. This is 3 days. I block and I write everything in there, whether it is time for me, whether it's time for business. And it can be like you literally, it changes your life when you start putting things in there. I'm going to read for half an hour at 7:00 tonight. It just honestly takes the pressure off of wearing out your mind because it's like, hey, that's what's next. That's what's next. That's what's next. I find for me, that's a great one as a business owner. The other thing, having a calendar like that, now having an assistant, she has complete access to my calendar. You know what it does? Everybody goes to her now when they want to book something for me. I get up every morning and I look at my calendar and I prep my day on my calendar. It's kind of like a surprise every day. What am I doing today? Oh, cool. These are all the things I'm doing. What are you laughing at?
The fact that I book my own calendar and I still surprise myself on the day.
But that's another example where someone can X time the amount of people, because I'm dealing with a lot of the staffing, contractors, fire marshals, city hall, all of these things, the lawyers for the corporations, you know, and I was like going out of my mind because all these people are coming at me nonstop wanting a piece of me. And I'm like, holy, slow the train down. Okay, how can I do this and function? Well, there you go. There was what it was for me. I literally turned around and I literally gave my assistant my calendar and I went, boom. People are going to email you. They're going to talk to you. And you're the only one who's going to call me if there's questions around that.
Yeah, even if I had to have a meeting with Alyssa, I literally go to Jen. I'm like, hey, when's Alyssa available?
But it works.
Yeah.
I show up at everything. Yeah. I'm usually on time. It's coming. It's coming. I did have to have a talk with my assistant that, hey, when you book me at 3:00 on this end of town and 3:30 on the other end of town, and I'm still trying to function with a conversation or look at something, there's no driving time in there. So I'm good, but I'm not that good. So anyways.
There was actually I think it was earlier this week. I don't remember days, but I was at the lawyer and I was like, I think I'm meeting with Ben. And then Cal came out and he was like, oh, hey, sorry, I thought you were Alyssa. I was like, Alyssa? My Alyssa? And he's like, yeah, I'm meeting with Alyssa today. I was like, oh. So I went in, signed with Ben, came out. Alyssa was still not there. And I was like, did you find Alyssa? They were like, yeah, she called. She's running late. So we're literally booked in at the same law firm, 2 different lawyers, and we totally missed each other because our schedules are so all over the place. Yeah. And everybody's like, you didn't know she was coming? I was like, I rarely see Alyssa. So we conquer and divide a lot. Hardcore. Right? I'm like, I don't need to micromanage her. She don't need to micromanage me.
No, because we both know that we're doing what we need to move forward. Yeah. And it's cool. Right? So again, that's just another example. But honestly, let's circle back to you. Let's circle back to your foundation. If you're honestly looking at becoming someone that's looking at a business. Now, we kind of went off. This is supposed to be investing in your investment business, but I just felt it was better investing in your business because honestly, there's so many people out there that have so many questions on business and all the little things and the big things and all that. Ask yourself if this is really for you. Because if you can't manage your time, if you can't handle chaos, if you can't handle certain aspects of the unknown, you're probably, I'm not going to lie, you're probably not going to make a fabulous business owner.
And that's okay.
It's okay. Yes.
Not everybody is an entrepreneur. Like, it's okay to be an employee.
No, I think that is one of the worst things happening right now on social media. Hey, become an entrepreneur. You can do all the things. And it's like, no, they effing can't. There are so many people out there that are not geared, and you have to ask yourself hard questions if you should be an entrepreneur or not. It's true.
Yeah.
Because it is not for everybody.
And it's literally that whole, like, you know, the hustle and the grind and all that stuff. Like, they're not just tag words. They're not just words that work to get you motivated. Like, it is the truth.
Yep.
Like, you don't get to go home at 5 o'clock when everybody else gets to, you know, stamp out for the day. You have to do the things. That's what you signed up here for. And again, you're literally in the crisis mode and, you know, running and fixing problems that you never even probably even thought would be a problem. Right? Like, and I mean, we could do an epic hour on all of that alone, which again, I don't like focusing on the negative because that's what you get more of, whatever you focus on, right? But it's actually mind blowing, some of the instances we've had. And I was like, how is this a thing right now? Right? But literally, like, that comes up all the time. And I always look at it like, is this a me problem or is this a you problem? Because for me, like, I can't take on other people's stuff. Right. And I'm like, no, you know what? I can't help you with this. You got to figure out your things. Like, this is what I hired you for. This is this, whatever. Or if it's literally someone else's stuff and they're trying to put it on me, I'm like, sorry, I got enough of my own stuff. Right. Yep. So you got to know your boundaries. You got to know, like, what you're doing, what you're open to, all that kind of stuff. But it's just a lot.
Sure is.
And so sometimes it's just easier to work, you know, whatever your hours are, work 40 hours a week, get your paycheck, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Again, being an entrepreneur, there are perks for sure. For example, this morning, my family surprised me. I was able to meet them for an impromptu breakfast, right? So all of a sudden, my sister and her husband and the kids were in town. They live 15 minutes outside of town. They were like, hey, what are you doing? If I didn't run my own schedule and I worked 9 to 5, that probably would have not happened. But I was like, hey, you know what? I actually don't have much till filming this afternoon. Yeah, let's do this. And that's the stuff that I live for, right? And again, when you know yourself and you know what works best in your world, make a world that makes sense for you then.
Absolutely.
Build it out.
So again, take away as much as you can from what we discussed here, because it does add up when you start looking at all the little pieces. And again, circle back to the foundation of who you are and is this best suited for you to, you know, be investing in yourself to be a business owner. It's just the truth. And then as far as investing in investment businesses, well, we really, for us, it's real estate investing. That industry is changing on the daily because markets change nonstop. So again, if you're going to invest in a real estate investing business, you need to hardcore figure out the market you're in. Okay. Like, that's number one. Or are you just going to be someone that builds a business off of something else that someone's doing? So an example for that, we have multiple people that wholesale us properties and they've made businesses out of that. There's nothing wrong with someone making a business off of another business that's doing well. Yeah,
the one wholesaler we're working with in one of our new markets, he's only been working with us for like less than 6 months. He's already made over 6 figures this year alone, right? Made more than they made before in their job. And all of a sudden, life changes when you're at a different capacity and a different caliber of income and stuff like that, right? It's really, really interesting. And then at the end of the day, with the investment business, there's so many different ways you could invest in your real estate investing business, because first off, are you going to raise capital and are you going to have joint venture or investment partners, or are you going to do it all on your own with your own money, right? That's a decision. And then at the end of the day, if you want to keep growing and you're using all your own money and all your own capacities and credit and whatever, you know, how far are you going to be able to burr or to be able to flip houses and whatnot? And what capacity, like as far as how many deals can you do? What can you feasibly get done that's going to make sense. Like you have to run those numbers. You have to see what makes sense. And then do you hire your own employees or do you contract everything out? Do you do the work yourself or do you hire people? Like there's all these different questions that come up, but it really depends on what your numbers are, who you are, and what your capacities are. So at the end of the day, make sure that whatever you're choosing to do makes sense realistically and scale it. Scale everything. So if you're starting with 1, don't jump in and do 10 and then do 10 poorly. Do the 1, get it right, build the systems, learn the mistakes, tighten up the, whatever went wrong, and just do 2 next time. Then after 2 are done and successful, maybe do 4 next time, right? Like scale and systemize. I think that's what makes the most sense for businesses.
Do 1. Oh, this thing's
You gotta
backwards.
Oh,
There we go. Do 1.
yeah, I'm like, you have the wrong book.
I know it's an old one.
No, but
Do
we have a new
2.
one.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have my handy dandy investor, whatever we call it, presentation in the book.
So there, right? Do 1. Where's the do 1, do 2, then do more, then do more, then do more, do more.
You don't have to be that crazy. You don't want to be.
No,
You can be.
that's why I
you
said
want.
you have to figure out where you want your business to go, because ultimately the only one who can ask that is you. It's true.
Yeah. And doing everything on your own with your own money, your own cash and credit versus bringing on investment partners looks way different. Those are
Absolutely.
completely different business models.
And different conversations and all kinds of things, and different control. It's everything.
Yeah. So there's no wrong way or right way to investing in your real estate investment business or any business or whatnot. Just make sure you do research so that you have a really good foundation, because if you build a business on a sloppy foundation, it's what's going to happen if you build a house on a sloppy foundation.
It's not a good house.
It's going to fall apart. And that's what would happen to your investment business if you built it on a sloppy foundation.
Yep.
So get it right in the beginning.
True.
That's about it.
Awesome. Well, I'm not sure I don't think we have too much more that we can offer you guys.
That's about it.
And so we'll probably, I think that's it.
Just ask for some suggestions.
Oh, right. Sorry, we got this here, little, think, tell you what to do. Suggestions for future epic hours, please DM or email us. And I believe that's in the chat, the email. Yeah, it would be good to get it to where if there's a time that people recommend. So if it's looking like, I don't know, 7 o'clock Eastern looks great for your life and all the things, and we get 5 other people or 500 people that say the same thing, guess what's going to happen? We're most likely just going to make our epic hours that time period, because that's when the most people can partake.
Totally. But we appreciate you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate anybody who's going to watch the replay.
Yes.
And I hope you guys have gotten a grain of information out of this, or at least got some good laughs in. I don't know.
Yes.
Some days we're funny. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But in the
Some days they're
meantime,
just funny to watch.
kind of funny looking.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever. But in the meantime, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And until next time.
Stay epic.